Well, you do, it's the Micro Garden, and today I have a really exciting episode for you guys today. A lot of people have been asking me about my tropicals. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I love different varieties of everything, and my favorite thing to grow is tropicals. I really love my citruses, and so therefore today I decided I was going to do an episode specifically on citruses. Now, the whole methodology behind this episode, obviously if you've clicked on the link, you've seen what the title is. It is basically going to be a discussion about the differences between dwarf and grafted dwarf. Now, there are tons of differences, but I just wanted to kind of briefly run over because a lot of people had been asking about the differences, what are the differences, and this holds true for all plants, not just my citruses, but I have them here as an example for you, so therefore that's what it's going to be highlighted on. Now, the citruses, this large citrus right here is, if I can grab it, it's actually, okay, this one is actually a true dwarf. Now, a true dwarf will always fruit true to its seed, or it'll grow true to its seed. So when this fruit's oranges, I'll save the seed from it, and it will grow true to its seed. It's totally fine, it's just a mutation. And this tree has that mutation. And it's really unique, it's very cool, it's unlike all of the other plants out there. And so, when you have a true dwarf, it will always fruit true, it'll always grow true to its seed. Whereas if you have a graft, such as this Marrow Blood Orange right here, or this Buddha's Hand right here, they won't grow true to seed. When you grow them, you are merely growing the plant, and you don't want to save the seed, because if you save the seed, you're going to get a adult version or a non-dwarf version of the grafted plant. Because what a graft is actually a company will take a rootstock. It's called a rootstock because it's selected for certain traits. Some of them it's a dwarfism. Some of them it's for drought tolerance. Some of them it's for increased fruit variety. Because the root system dictates how the plant will grow, and that's totally behind everything that a grafted dwarf is they have to apply it to a rootstock that's chosen for dwarfism. So when they graft it on, let's say they take the Buddha's Hand and they graft it onto a dwarf rootstock, the rootstock will prevent the Buddha's Hand from getting any taller than a certain height. But if you save the fruit from the Buddha's Hand, it's going to be 20-30 feet tall, whereas this plant is only going to get about 4 to 5 feet tall. And that's the beauty of having a graft. Also, grafts offer you a little bit more variety because you can, whereas with the heirloom, always true to its variety dwarf, it's only one tree. Whereas a cool thing with graft is you can actually grow both parts of the plant. If you choose not to prune it, you can actually grow the top of the, let's say, blood orange, and then whatever they graft it to in the bottom, let's say they graft it to a rootstock that comes from a grapefruit. You can actually save the suckers that grow off the bottom of the grapefruit, and you can have half grapefruit, half blood orange, and that's really cool. So I definitely like that aspect too as well, because it gives you kind of something fun to grow where it's like, wait, is that a grapefruit and a lemon growing on the same tree? Yes, it is. But yeah, so I really do find that kind of fun to do, and I will be doing that with one of them. It's kind of like apples. A lot of times they'll do like a yellow apple and a red apple on the same tree, and you'll fruit it, and when it fruits, those branches that were the original graft, they don't change. They will never change the type of apple they put out. It's genetically made to put out that type of apple. So you can have, potentially 4 to 5 apples on the same tree that are all different varieties. So it's really, really cool. And that's one thing that the graft has going for it. I did get the citruses from Larry's Orchids and Tropicals. I'll put a link in the description box below because, again, I really am very fond of promoting his company. I'm not being paid to do this, but I want to help you guys out. If you guys have any questions about some of the different varieties that I featured on this episode today, he sells both dwarf and grafted dwarf. So it's right up your alley. It applies right to this episode. So I felt it was pretty cool to be able to mention his website yet again. And I do love his service. Again, also use the promo code. There's a promo code, microgarden. I'll put it right up here. It is missing a letter. It's not a typo. And if you put that in, you get 20% off your total purchase. So go check it out. I know he'll be restocking with a lot of different stuff fairly soon. He did tell me that he's got a bunch of great new stuff coming. And he also has the original stuff too. So if you've ever been on there, and he has that stuff, and he's also bringing in some new stuff. So it's really cool because his whole method of growing is exactly what I'm doing here. It's a combination of true dwarfs and dwarfs, and that's all he sells. He doesn't sell I don't think he sells any full plants that grow to full size, because the fact that he lives in Michigan, or he runs his business out of Michigan, he wants to be able to cater to people like me, where I don't have access to growing outside. Or if I do, I can move it out in the summer, because it's small and it's capable to be moved around, and I can move it back in the winter and put it under light. I just thought I'd do this episode because I had a ton of people asking me what are the differences between grafted and true dwarf. And really quick, before I end, another thing that I was going to say about true dwarf is anything can be a true dwarf. There are millions and millions of things that are true dwarf out there. You can have true dwarf apples, true dwarf lemons, limes, oranges, etc., etc. You can have dwarf bananas. And it's really just because genetically it will happen. After a while, everything will have a dwarf version of it somewhere out there. And so that is hope for people like me that grow indoors, because I love exotics. I actually had a lot of fun filming this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be probably putting out another episode sometime this week, but if not, I apologize. So again, hopefully I answered some of you guys' questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you guys later. This is the Micro Garden. See ya. Bye.